What faults do you personally think are in PBL?
Look, I love the PBL process and the idea of PBL, but at Parramatta Marist, I think one of the most difficult things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis is technology. And if something goes wrong in that, internet goes down, or an iPad, student's iPad isn't working, that can affect the group and it can affect the end result for a group. I think that's probably the main fault, is our reliance on technology. And I'm really hoping that as we get better as a school in PBL, and as I get better as a teacher in PBL, I'm going to work out ways to combat that.
Okay. What are your personal thoughts of PBL, having taught in this system for a few years now?
I love PBL. I think that it offers all students an opportunity to do really well. It doesn't matter whether you are a mathematician or a scientist, whether you're really well spoken or you love reading. You can bring your strengths and your likes and interests to your group work, and it gives everybody a voice. You get to choose what you want to do, and it means that because you have a say in what you do, you're invested. As a student, you're invested in what you do, and then you've got something to be proud of at the end.
So it's all about the individual.
It's all about the individual, absolutely, and that's a focus at the moment, as personally and also as a staff, that we're all about individualising group work. Sounds tricky, but that's what it's about. It's all about the individual.
Okay. What were your first thoughts on being introduced into PBL for the first time?
I was excited and really nervous. Excited because I'd heard so much about PBL, especially having a dad that had taught here already for about 25 years, and he'd seen the change. It was exciting to think about entry events and all of those little things that can be really fun. But at the same time, it was nerve-wracking the way that we do PBL here. And I walked in after teaching at a school that had 60 kids. My very first class at Parramatta Marist had 60 students, 60 Year 10 students staring back at me. And that made me nervous. That was really daunting. But I mean, now I don't even think twice about it.
How do you think PBL has affected the education system at Parramatta Marist?
Okay, so one of the reasons that we established PBL at Parramatta Marist was because studies showed there was a decline in engagement levels in Year 9. So we decided, what better to change it up? Let's do something different. Let's engage Year 9 students. And as a result, the academics of the school and the school results. And
PBL has affected the education system at Parramatta Marist.
It's completely changed and revamped our education system here. We went from being traditional classroom teachers to introducing PBL a little bit at a time, and the reason for doing that was to increase engagement in Year 9 especially. Year 9's a tricky year for teachers and for students, and everyone's getting their own little opinion about what they want to do in life and all of those things. So it was important to have a change, and PBL offered that change, and as a result, we have students that are engaged in the classroom. We have students that are turning up to school, and that's allowing us to see greater results in Year 11 students and Year 12 students, and we're just offering lots of opportunities for our kids.
Thank you for that. And do you think teaching in the PBL system is better than in a traditional system, and why?
Okay, well, I'm biased because I do work at Parramatta Marist,
That's fair.
and I truly do love teaching PBL. I love I've said it before, the engagement with the students. I love the opportunities that it offers students, but also I love that when I walk into a classroom, I get to go and spend time with my students, and I can go group to group and check in on them, and not have to be that traditional teacher that stands in front of a classroom, writes things on a board, shows PowerPoint presentations. There's room for that, and you still have to do that sometimes. How else do you learn essay writing without your teacher telling you that this is what needs to happen? But it offers me a great opportunity to go and get to know my students, know what makes them tick. Do they love soccer? What book are they reading at the moment? What do they do on the weekend that makes them so tired on a Monday morning? All of those things that help me to then plan my lessons and my projects.
So you just think it's easier to interact with students in PBL?
Absolutely, the interaction is high on my priority list. I think that's what makes me that's what makes me excited to come to work in the morning, and I would hope that that's what makes students excited to come to my classes, because of the engagement that they can have with a teacher that gets to teach through facilitation rather than teaching by, this is what you have to do, this is, it allows me to individualize my classroom as well.
Yeah.
You can do this activity if you would like, or you can do this activity if you would like. You get to choose.
Okay. What teaching methods do you personally like to use during classes such as English or PDHPE? And does the PBL system affect those methods in any way?
I think it does affect those methods. I think that it's hard to teach a novel, for example, in English without the whole class reading a section of the novel, to learn how to annotate a novel, to look for literary devices, to look for the meaning behind the text. But once you teach that particular skill, you can go off and explore that on your own. So it might be a whole class teaching operation just there, or I might choose to do that in little workshops. And I'm a personal favourite of workshops, and that works really well in PDHPE especially, because you've got boys that might know a lot. If you think back to last year when we did nutrition and lifestyle diseases, you've got boys that know a lot about diabetes or obesity, but if you don't know, I can say, okay, hands up if you don't know anything about obesity or you'd like to learn more, come on over here. Why should you have to learn something that you already know? You could be moving on to something else. So I'm a huge fan of a workshop, just separating a small group. It could be 3, it could be 10, it could be 20, that can still be a workshop, and going over things that they need help with.
Okay. How has PBL changed your approach to teaching in the past few years, since this is your only PBL school?
Yeah, so when I first started teaching, I loved having control. I liked, all of my students to sit in rows. I thought that a silent classroom was a good classroom. That's where learning was taking place. And if you weren't silent, then you couldn't possibly be learning. And PBL has taught me that I have to let go of that. That you guys are the best teachers of each other. That you can teach each other things, whether that's life skills through collaboration, it's social skills, or whether it is you teaching another.
How do you help a student who doesn't know how to work with groups of students and is too shy or silent to work with other kids?
That can be a big issue in PBL, that we don't all love working with other people, and we have students with learning needs, and that can be really hard. But everyone always has something to offer. I truly believe that. And if your collaboration is through getting a small piece of work that needs to be contributed to a group project, then in the first project of the year, that's what you do. And it's all about baby steps and just encouraging that person to come together with their group. That's the nature of life. In a workplace, there are always going to be people that don't love to collaborate with others, are too shy to offer their opinion, don't have enough self-confidence to do so. But hopefully over the course of a year, it could be as short as a project, as I'm going to be able to offer the confidence to my students to be able to do that. And you can do that in many ways. And one example is that, for example, Christian, if you were that person that was really shy and didn't like to work, I would say, you know what, pick a person that you're comfortable with, and then you can be in a group with them for that particular project. That might help boost your confidence levels. There's always a way to work around it. It could be that you try to engage with their interests. What do you like to do? Do you love playing computer games? Is that why you're always distracted on your iPad? Well, if you love playing computer games, can you make a way for that to work in your project? Can you turn your summative task into a computer game? There's always something to do. It's not always perfect, but it's definitely increasing the social skills and capabilities of each student in a class.
So again, catering to individual needs is number one priority.
Catering to individual needs is the number one priority. Yeah, I think that has been the message that's come through in our chat today, hasn't it? Yeah.
Thank you.
Not a problem.